Hey everybody, Rosematter here. Welcome to part 14 of my Higurashi When They Cry Matsuribayashi Let's Play. In the last episode, just as it seemed like everything was going wrong for the gang as they were trapped in the Sonozaki basement with the mountain dogs bearing down on them, Rika sacrificed herself, gave herself up to the mountain dogs so the others could escape, and just as it seemed like she was about to be taken in, Akasaka came in, of course, and saved her, and now the group has reconvened and they are planning a counterattack with the club members going out into the mountains to draw attention away from the clinic, while Shion, Kasai, Akasaka, and Iri go into the clinic to save Tomatake and Satoshi. Also, discovered Satoshi is still alive, so what? That was unexpected. So I don't think I'm going to be wrapping up this chapter in this episode because apparently there's still some, quite a bit left and I've got limited time. So it seems like we're going to be dividing this into two parts. So hopefully you guys are okay with this, but I am so excited to see what's going to happen next. So I'm going to stop babbling and we are going to get back into it. So let's go.
連中ははじめ近くの山中に出現し村中に出たようです。村人に接触して助けを求めようとしたのかもしれませんが、偵察車両の1台が逃走者の一部と R を発見、追跡。一時期 R と発信機は別行動しましたが、地図の山中で合流しました。
チリジリになったのが合流できたということ？
ええ。連中は逃走路について十分な打ち合わせをしてやがったんちゅうことでしょうな。山の中なら地の利があると踏んでやがるに違いない。ブッシュが深ければ武器の効果は激減する。
So I was corrected where I think I said something about like a bunch of kids versus, a highly trained tactical group, but their thing isn't more fight, like they're not a militia as much as like the Bloodhounds. Their thing isn't fighting and weapons. Their thing is more like espionage and stuff like that. So I believe that the club members will have a chance against these guys.
あの空手野郎の考えそうなことですね。
Okanoki was determined to catch them this time. He kept saying how he was simply caught off guard before.
今度はもう逃がせないわよ。
Yeah, well, you're going to be caught off guard this time because you guys have no idea what you're walking into.
ひなみ沢でならともかく、沖宮に入られたらもうどうにもならない。
わかってます。向こうに地の利がある山中とあっちゃ、こちらも躊躇したらアウトですわ。全般で包囲、圧殺します。聞こえてるな、全般。こいつはサッカーだ。敵はゴールエリアに侵入してる。ゴールは沖宮だ。絶対に許すな。特にあの空手野郎だ。あいつは許さねえ。俺の獲物だ。絶対に仕留めてやる。
大鳥了解。
ウグイス了解。
ひばり了解。白鷺了解。
行くぞ。山犬の総力戦だ。こいつがしくじればうちらは積まれてゲームオーバーだ。
その通りよ。もう後がない。私も出て陣頭指揮を取るわ。富武はここに置いていっても大丈夫？
大丈夫ですんね。完全武装の保安隊員が8人もおりますんね。
Yeah, you got 8 armed security guards. We got an Akasaka, and a Kasai, and a Shion, and Iri, I guess.
その倍の完全武装兵が来てもしのげます。それよりも問題なのはあの空手野郎です。奴を侮ることはできませんぜ。
The security unit guarded the basement of the Erie Institute, which was the heart of the organization. Therefore, they were armed more heavily than anyone else than the mountain dogs. Okanagi's confidence in the security unit and his newfound obsession with defeating Akasaka made the a diversionary plan a success. But at the same time, that meant the decoy club members would have to deal with the full force of the mountain dogs. The dogs' white vans ran through the village. While they couldn't fire shots outside, all members were carrying stun guns that fired electric needles. While poor on range, they could subdue a target instantly. I wonder if Shion has her. I mean, she's got a gun. Oh wait, no, Shion's gonna be with the other guys this time. With the flip of a switch, they could change between merely stunning or killing their target. A perfect weapon for people like the mountain dogs. The van separated into groups and headed for the mountains. They were planning to surround their enemies and then smoke them out.
隊長、前半作戦開始位置に到着しました。
さすがに展開が早いぜ。サンサ、全班にありがたい訓示を頼みます。
Oh, there she is back in her little militia uniform.
R だけは生かして捕らえること。他は殺してしまっても構わないわ。
Like she's like, I have to change real quick. I gotta make this more official.
この山から逃がしてはダメ。この山で今日の戦いすべてに決着をつけるのよ。
ウグイス、ヒバリ、白鷺、山狩りを開始しろ。大鳥はゴールキーパーで予備兵力を務める。緊急展開が可能なように常時待機しろ。
大鳥セブン、了解。
さあ、おっ始める。
The mountain dogs started marching, spreading out in a line with a few meters between them. This mountainside was a savage land where not even the villagers would dare tread. There were some trails, but no paved roads for human beings. It required an enormous amount of diligence and patience to hunt on a mountain like this. All the dogs were very nervous. They were told that most of their enemies were children, but there were a few well-trained adults with them as well. In addition, they were supposedly armed quite heavily, and they knew the layout of the terrain quite well. It was obviously going to be a tough battle. Well, there's no adults there, but the kids are, do not underestimate them, especially with Sadako's traps.
おこのぎ、山狩りってのは普通どのくらいの人数がいるの？
一概には言えませんが、多ければ多いほどいいでしょうな。山犬の人数じゃ全員集めても全く足りません。
でも向こうも少人数なんだからそう不利な条件じゃないでしょ。ほらよく言うじゃない。守備を崩すには3倍の兵力がいるって。こっちはさらにその倍以上いるんだから。
まあ、数万の兵力の場合ならそういう数式になるでしょうが。
It doesn't work in smaller scale battles. The US armed forces proved that in the Vietnam War.
なら、今回の山狩り、おこのぎはどれだけの兵力がいると見てるの？
何でもありってことでですか？
何でもありって意味がわからないけど、どのくらいが適正な兵力なの？
今朝の政治的奇襲も含めて、向こうの指揮官は相当優秀です。そして、火器取り扱いのベテランが最低2、近接格闘のベテランが最低1。
そこまでは認めるけど、あとは所詮子供でしょ？
あとは子供のようですが、多分ここに逃げ込んだからには彼らのテリトリーでしょう。地の利が十分な子供一人はよく訓練された強襲偵察隊一個小隊に匹敵しますんで、サンサが考えてますより相当厄介な相手ですわ。
それを制圧するのにどの程度の兵力が必要だっていうの？
山岳歩兵が一個師団。ああ、師団ってのは山犬が3つ4つくっついて大隊。
Alright, 3 or 4 mountain dogs make a battalion, and 3 or 4 battalions make a regiment.
そいつがさらに3つ4つくっついて連隊。そいつがさらに3つ4つで師団ですんね。
30倍の兵力が必要だというの？
もちろんそれだけじゃ足りません。砲兵陣地に要請して山ほどの事前砲撃が必要ですわ。航空支援が得られるならファントムにナパームもばらまかせたいところですね。
冗談じゃないわ。そんな兵力ここにはないわ。じゃあそれにはるかに満たない山犬で山狩りをしたらどうなるっていうの？
まあ楽じゃないでしょうな。
Okanagi laughed boldly. He said it wouldn't be easy, but he also seemed to be implying that he was the only one capable of doing it.
連中のテリトリーでしょうが、逃げ込んだのはついさっきです。陣地もなけりゃ、トラップ設置の暇も
Oh,
ない
you
は
don't
ず
know that. They've been planning this for days.
地の利を生かすには時間が足りないはずです。
And this is the problem, you're underestimating them, and that's going to be your downfall. As Takano listened to Okanagi's explanation, she felt a little anxious. When she pretended to be friendly with Sadako a long time ago, she used to tell Takano all about her mountain. Takano remembered how Sadako told her about all kinds of traps she'd set up, but she couldn't recall which mountain Sadako was talking about.
茨より本部、標的の一部を発見。R は視認できない。
Oh boy, that was quick.
現在追跡中。
人質にできれば十分よ。 R がいなくても捕らえて。
ウグイス、聞こえるか？近隣の班を応援に回して退路を立て。
ウグイス了解。バックアップする。
All right. Oh, here we go. Oh, so excited.
そりゃそうだよね。退路を断ちたいよね。
Some fallen trees were leaning against a much larger pine tree, forming a natural scaffold. A small hut made of plywood had been built on top of them. It was one of Sadako's many secret bases. It was in perfect spot since Mio could see the foot of the mountain well. So they have bases. I didn't even expect bases. They have traps and bases.
すごいね。みーちゃんの予想通りだね。さて、我が部にどの程度叶うか、お手並みを拝見しようかね。
It's nice to see them have the advantage, whereas the last chapter they were scrambling. It was only because these guys just happened to see Rika being chased that they... and they almost won, too. If Takano hadn't come out with that gun, they might have been able to get away.
レナたち、勝てるかななーに言ってんだか。向こうの指揮官は無能だね。私たちを攻めるなら山岳訓練を終了したベテラン歩兵が1個師団はいるね。それをせいぜい中隊規模でとはね。未熟にも程があるよ。さーて、何人が私たちを相手にしてこの山を無事に降りられるかな。
Yes, it's beginning.
ひばり4攻撃を受けた。クソ逃がすな。丸太を山ほど転がしてきやがった。ひばり6が捻挫で追撃不
Oh
能。
my gosh, it's already falling apart on their side. Yes.
残りで追撃する。
I shouldn't get too complacent because
逃がすなよ。
last time I thought that things were going really well and things just went real bad. But now it's going the other way for us. We're gonna get the upper hand again.
追って追って追いまくれ。休ませるんじゃねえ。
ひばり11トラップによる攻撃を受けた。ひばり12、13が多分脳震盪だ。
Oh my gosh, come on, I want to see these things happen. I just don't want to hear about them.
あんなの当たりどころが悪かったら死んでるぞ。ひばり60トラップにやられた。光線が足に絡まって脱出できない。ナイフじゃ切断できない。番線カッターを持ってきてくれ。
Chaotic radio transmissions came in one after another. Obviously, Okanagi had been wrong about the mountain dogs being in an advantageous position.
ウグイス10より本部。クソったれが井戸を偽装した落とし穴だ。隊員2名が閉じ込められて救出不能。応援を送れ。やべ。どうしたウグイス10。応答しろウグイス10。ウグイス10だ。やられた。俺を後ろから突き飛ばしやがった。ウグイス9から11は井戸内。現在なれど脱出不能。くそ。
This is amazing.
本部よりウグイスバックアップが奇襲を受けた。行動が読まれているぞ。注意しろ。
ウグイス1だ。聞いていいか。どうして動きが読まれるんだ。上空に無人機の影はないぞ。
ひばり湾より本部、追跡に失敗。見失った。無理だ。この山はトラップだらけだぞ。この距離を追うだけで何人負傷しちゃってんだ。
白鷺湾より本部、
R を含む数名を発見した。追跡している。至急応援を送れ。連中め、少人数の利点を生かして分散しやがった。か乱してトラップで絡め取ろってんだな。白鷺は用心しろ。向こうはお前らをトラップ地帯におびき寄せるつもりだ。敵は確固に分散し、陽動と奇襲のゲリラ戦術で抵抗してくる気だ。高度だぞ。すでに他班でトラップとアンブッシュで負傷者が多発している。用心しろ。気合い入れてかかれ、白鷺ワン。白鷺ワン。白鷺2より本部。白鷺ワンがトラップに。誰か班長を吊りしてるロープを切れ。残りは追撃しろ。 R を逃がすな。
ウグイス1より本部。ウグイス7たちが沈黙した。襲撃にあった可能性が否定できない。応援を送る許可を。
白鷺5、隊員3名が上空から降ってきたドラム缶の直撃を受けて混沌した。
Damn Sadako.
なんなんだここは。こんなのがまだまだあるってのか。ヒバリ13だ。やられて倒れてたようだ。あ、今一人発見した。追跡する。やろう、よくもやってくれやがったな。
よせ、やめろヒバリ13。お前が一人で叶う相手じゃない。
Oh, and now they're getting frustrated, and that's making them careless.
お兄さん、こちらですわよ。
クソガキが待ちやがれ。
Skylark 13 chased Sadako with an enraged snarl on his face, but Sadako ran through the woods effortlessly. Small branches scratched his body all over, but he continued to chase Sadako. Sadako ran like the wind. To her, she was simply running in her own backyard. Who would get injured in a place like that? As Skylark 13 ran after her, he passed many mountain dogs who couldn't even move because of Sadako's traps. The more of his trap fellows he saw, the more he wasn't sure if the girl he was after was really a girl. She was just something that looked like one. She's a demon. He reached an area where logs were stacked up in piles. It seemed like the trees in the area were being chopped down. It was a rather strange scene. On his way there, Skylark 13 saw a member from a different unit hanging upside down from a tree. He also saw feet sticking out of a pitfall. There was a member whose foot was tied to the root of a tree with a device that looked like a pair of handcuffs. He reached this area after seeing all of them. He suddenly started sweating all over his body, for Skylark 13 realized he had been lured into a trap. Really, the girl saying, "Come on, follow me this way," that's not an indication that it might have been a trap? He had been caught in a snare. She had tricked him. The girl was standing in the middle of an open area, calmly balancing on a stump. She was simply looking at him. Shit, he thought. She's trying to lure me in.
ヒバリ13だ。一人を広場みたいなところで追い詰めた。
I'm not saying I want them to, but do these people not have weapons? They said the whole thing about, like, kill who you have to, and I know they were thinking about taking people hostage, but...
捕まえてやる。捕まえてやる。
こちら、ウグイス7。お前、そいつは少女じゃない。
Oh my god, I said that too.
少女の姿をした悪魔。そいつの後を追えば、地獄まで誘い込まれるぞ。
本部よりヒバリ13。それで十分だ。応援を待て。今そこに最寄りの隊員を向かわせている。
どうなさいましたの？私を捕まえたければ、あともう10メートルくらいは歩く必要がございますわよ。
It was only 10 meters. If he walked about 10 meters, he could catch that bratty little girl. How many steps did he have to take to walk 10 meters? If he took 10 steps to walk 10 meters, that would mean there were 10 more chances of stepping on a trap. But it was only 10 steps. He can catch her after taking just 10 steps. I can't believe he's actually going to do it.
そう思いなら、まずは最初の一歩を踏み出してみればいいではございませんの。ほらほら。
At this point, she's just taking the piss. Like, she's being so obvious about it. He still might do it. Oh my god, you dummy. You deserve to get caught. I can't believe he's going to do it. How is he going to take his first step? That area with weeds looks suspicious. But the bare ground looks suspicious too. What if he jumped onto a tree stump? No, no. That was what she wanted him to do. cold sweat was dripping off of Skylark 13's body. He only needed to take... It would be funny if there were absolutely no traps here at all and she just psyched him out. He only needed to take 10 steps. So why was he so nervous about taking the first one?
Hibari 13
From what I can see, the tree stumps look okay.
切り株だよせひばり13さっき根っこで足を縛られてたウグイス8だ切り株はきっと罠だ辺りは切り株だらけというのがうさんくさい聞こえるかひばり13ブッシュは危険だ草むらは踏むなむき出しの土もやばい
くそったれじゃあどこを踏めばいいんだよ空を飛んでけってのかよ
まだいらっしゃいませんの？私退屈ですからそろそろ失礼しますわよ。
こちらスマキにされて転がっているウグイスないんだ今標的の一人にその頭を蹴られている
They sound so neutered now.
そこはトラップフィールドだと言ってるぞえその待ち構えてる小娘の最高傑作が設置されているらしい油断するな
You've got to be kidding me. Did he say magnum opus? What does he mean by magnum opus? Then what about all the other traps? Weren't they her magnum opus? We mountain dogs are professionals. We're paid to engage in battle. Yet this little girl is playing us like fools. Can we not beat her? Can't we beat that brat? This must be a bluff. How is it possible for a trap to exist that's worse than what I've seen so far? That's a bluff. It must be a bluff. Now I'm definitely going to get her. Oh my god, you dummy. Should I start with my right foot or my left? The girl suddenly lifted her hand and thrust it at me. Is she trying to tell me to stop?
5歩ですわ。
何
何事もなく5歩を無事に歩けたらあなたの勝利ということでいいですわよ。
ほほそれは大した自信じゃねえかもし俺が5歩何もなく歩けたらどうするつもりだ
そうですわね。私の敗北を認めて降参して差し上げてもよろしくってよ。私今日は最高にトラップ脳が絶好調ですの。あなたを5歩で絡め取ってご覧に入れますわ。
クソガキャ
落ち着けひばり13挑発に乗るなそいつは悪魔だ外見に騙されるなそいつは人の心を読むぞ俺たちの叶う相手じゃねえ
本部よりひばり13深追いするな十分だ近くまでウグイスが応援に来ているその場で耐えろ
それじゃ
Oh my god, you got baited by a 10-year-old. You... Oh my gosh.
5歩だとくそ乗ってやるぜ5歩だなたったの5歩だな
男が何度もくどいですわね。愛のささやき以外は男は一言で十分ですのよ。
このガキャ
ひばり13読まれるぞ劇場は思考を読まれるぞ
落ち着けそうさ俺はひばりの13番ミントみたいにクールなのが取り柄さだから熱くならずによく考えろそうさ俺の思考はすでに絡め取られていた奴に向かって5歩進まなければならないって時点で思考を絡め取られてたぜ
ほほうそれはどういう意味でございますの
Hehehehe. Ha ha ha. This is what it means.
前じゃねえ後ろに5歩歩くんだよ
I did it. I did it. I was certain it was a trick. If I take 5 steps, I win. She didn't say I had to move forward. I can go backwards, too.
だからあなたは5歩でおしまいなんですのよ
ひばり13沈黙
あのバカすっかり乗せられやがって
Sadako's remarkable performance wasn't just her own effort alone. Mion had mastered the geography and the enemy's formations while instructing Sadako. Sadako marked all her traps on the map. When that map and Mion's ability to command combined, the club was simply unbeatable. Rika and Hanyu, who knew about the mountain almost as well as Sadako, relayed orders from Mion to Keiichi or Rena. They then prepared for the ambush. This is pretty sad, like, these guys are professionals, and they just got beat by a bunch of kids. The traps didn't always activate when they were stepped on. Sometimes Keiichi and the others were setting them off at the right moment. Keiichi and Rena continued to fight everywhere according to Mion's orders. Sometimes they'd hide and sometimes they'd attack. One by one, they eliminated their enemies. Sadako's traps had been taking down most of the enemies, but Keiichi's surprise attacks with his bat, yes, the bat being used for good and not evil, had worked out successfully too. Not even the well-trained mountain dogs could respond to attacks after being stunned by the traps. Humans need a little time to react. According to the research done by the US Armed Forces, the average reaction time is 15 seconds. In other words, any soldier is powerless during the 15 seconds following a surprise attack. Shortening those 15 seconds is one goal of their training. But no matter how much they train, it will never become zero. Their radio communications had actually made things much worse for them. The more they heard about damage done to the other units, the more worried they got. That slowed them down and made them think less strategically. At that point, as far as Mion was concerned, the mountain dogs were no longer a force to be reckoned with.
ケイイチは大成功しましたです。仲良くすまきにしてニパーなのです。はあ、貞子の方もうまくいったようなのです。みんなやっつけてしまいましたです。
了解。確認するけど、この攻撃での戦果は5だね。どうするよ敵さん。南部方面軍はこれで戦力の3割は脱落だよ。負傷者の対応に通常1人から2人。ってことは手の空いた兵士はほとんどいないってわけだ。まっとうな指揮官なら本部に撤退を申し入れるね。
こちらひばり湾、隊員に負傷者多数。負傷者への対応で追撃に手が回らない。これ以上の追撃は断念せざるを得ない。
ひばり湾、損害は大きいが我が方は確実に敵の行動権を狭めているぞ。撤退は認めない。現状兵力で戦線を維持せよ。
I love it where they just said, like, a good commander would retreat and then immediately cuts to them not retreating.
くそー、ひばり湾より全員本部から死ねと命令だ。装備を再点検しろ。進軍を再開するぞ。
でも高野さんたちは頭に血が上ってるからそれを許可しない。指揮官は撤退を却下され、士気が低下したまま追撃を再開。こいつは叩く絶好のチャンスだね。リカちゃん、レナと合流して Z 地区に誘い込んで。あそこのトラップはだいぶごっついよ。羽生はケイちゃんに X 地区に転戦しろと連絡を。こんな面白いゲームはないね。
I said, this is the ultimate club activity. This is what they've been training for.
ミオンが絶好調なのです。今のミーが生まれる時代を間違えていたら歴史に名を残しかねないのです。
私に言わしゃ、ネルソンも東郷もまあまあってとこだね。もう裏山全体が手に取るようだよ。
Mia was the type to display exponential ability. When she's down, she's at rock bottom, but when she's in perfect form, it's just terrifying. That was the blood of the head of one of the 3 families of Hinamizawa. If Mion had been around for a historical battle, she would have changed history. If she were to join Napoleon, Siberia would be French territory. If she were to join Hitler, Europe would belong to the Third Reich. And even with all that, the battle in the mountains was simply a diversion. Just as Mion had expected, everything had collapsed into chaos. If the mountain dogs could think calmly, they could have realized they hadn't seen any adults. But they didn't notice, confused as they were by all the attacks they were suffering. Of course, that too was part of Mion's plan. The scale of the diversion would hide the fact there was a rescue unit going to get Tomatake. Therefore, the more chaotic the battle grew on the mountain, the better it was for the rescue unit. That was why she chose such an ostentatious method of fighting. But at the same time, that was exactly the type of fight Mion preferred. She didn't intend to let it just be a diversion. She was planning to destroy the dog's main force on these mountains. Yet, most frightening of all was our home advantage. It wasn't exaggerating to say the theory that defenders have thrice the advantage over assailants is heavily due to their advantage of location. In that case, how was the rescue unit doing? Were they at a disadvantage because they were on the offense? Of course not! They got Akasaka. The 4 rescue unit members, led by Eri, were hiding in a bush next to the clinic.
行きましょう。こちら側をフォローするカメラは故障中ですから大丈夫です。
こんなとこから堂々と？うわ、怖いね。
敵は監視をセキュリティに依存しきってるようです。問題ないでしょう。
行きましょう。まずは壁沿いに伝い、所長室の裏へ。
はい。私が出るとき、窓は閉めませんでしたから。そこから入ると、すぐ脇が裏口で、そこには監視カメラと1階保安室があり、今日は2名が常駐しているはずです。死角角前は厳重に監視カメラで見張られていますので、必ずバレるでしょう。
地下に行く前にその1階の2人を制圧しないとね。退路確保は基本でしょ。
まずは所長室から入って1階保安室。
They moved forward, walking against the wall so they'd remain in the blind spot of the security cameras. They soon reached the window of the director's office. If any village kids saw them, they'd assume they were playing around, pretending to be spies. Eri was glad the clinic was closed on Sundays. Eri peeked into the room. It was exactly the same as how he left it. The window was open, too. The 4 of them snuck into the room through that window. Akasaka put his ears against the door to the hallway. Then he signaled the others to let them know there was nobody on the other side. Since the clinic was closed, the mountain dogs were the only people around. It being Sunday really was fortunate. It was very quiet in the clinic. The chorus of the cicadas was the only thing that could be heard. There was a clock on the director's desk. It was almost 11:30 a.m. Shion was surprised to find herself getting hungry given all that was going on. Kasai and Akasaka checked over their weapons. Eri brought out a book of blueprints from the locked bookcase. The title said Construction Plan for the Eri Clinic.
ここが所長室です。ここが1階保安室。出てすぐそこです。監視カメラはこの赤鉛筆がそうです。
1階保安室の制圧自体は問題は地下ですね。
これが地下の研究区画です。ここが入り口。図面では表向きは職員用の2階への階段になっていますが、実際は地下区画への入り口が隠されています。そして階段で地下へ。
よくもこんな大きな地下を作ったものです。地上部分よりもよっぽど広いですね。
それは地下こそがこの診療所の真の姿である証拠です。
で、これが監督の認証カードでないと入れない扉。認証カードが封印されて使えなくなってるなんてことは？万一認証カードが使えない場合にゲートの物理的突破は可能？
非常に厳重な扉で、証拠隠滅時にはそれを閉じてから内部に注水して封鎖する決まりになっています。
ということは機密扉か。この容積を満たす水圧に耐えるということは相当に頑丈だ。
ってことは認証カード以外の方法では不可能ってことだね。
一般用の認証カードは個別の登録抹消が可能なはずですが、私と高野さんの認証カードは商工用の特別カードと聞いています。登録抹消には各個に設定した8桁のパスワードが必要ですから、事実上彼らには抹消できません。
将校自らが不法使用することは想定していないということですね。
それでもダメな時は1階保安室の人間に開けさせましょう。保安要員のカードなら将校の次に強力なはずです。
素直に協力してくれるとは思えませんが。
We'll make them use it.
協力しないんならカードと指紋認証用に指を1本ちょんと拝借するまでです。
そうしたくはないですね。私のカードで開くことを祈るばかりです。
地下のセキュリティルームはどれです？
認証カードで入ってすぐ脇のこの部屋です。この部屋には空調もテレビもありますから、基本的に保安の方はそこに全て詰めています。上で2人をやっつければ残りの6人がいるはずです。
6人か。一気に制圧しないと難しいね。一瞬で制圧しないとほぼ確実に警報を鳴らされる。先に警報を切断する方法は？
ちょっとわかりませんが、予備電源や予備回線があるはずです。
現実的じゃないか。セキュリティルームを制圧する方が現実的ですね。保安の連中の武装は？
We just throw in a, what's the word? Throw in a grenade and boom, done.
1階の保安は非武装ですが、1階保安室には一応銃が置かれているという話です。地下の保安は全員が拳銃を携帯しています。あとセキュリティルームにはもっと強力な連発式の銃が何丁か置かれていたはずです。
屋内での用途から考えて、多分口径の短い機関拳銃のようなものでしょう。長距離での命中率はひどく落ちますが、小回りが利き近距離では十分な火力を持つ危険なものです。
地下で撃ってきた連中 MP5 でしたし、そいつが何丁持ってのはちょいと厄介ですね。でもここを制圧できれば地下は私たちの手に落ちる。監督、サトシ君は？
本当は動かしたくないところですが、敵の巣の中に放置はできません。サトシ君も安全なところに移しましょう。
I hope Satoshi can come back from his, terminal condition. I hope. Maybe seeing Sadako again, maybe that'll help. Oh, I can't wait for that reunion.
私の付き添いも必要です。
サトシ君はどの部屋にいるんです？
この奥の病室に監禁されています。そこは去年から彼専用の部屋になっています。
サトシ君。
The look in Shion's eyes made clear her determination. The security guards who chased after Eri were in the security room on the first floor. They had resumed their game of poker. They knew that the mountain dogs were combing the mountains, and they were well aware the Institute continued to be in danger. But their job was to stay in that room. And besides, they were working hard on their poker game. Of course, they weren't really concentrating on the game itself. They were still both chatting about the recent car chase, and both seemed proud about what they had done. They were ordered to shoot at the tires, but they wished they had been ordered to shoot at Eri himself. They definitely would have caught him then. They talked and laughed like that. When people stopped being on edge, that left them all the more vulnerable. This was a perfect example. That was why it only took 2 seconds to suppress them.
両手を頭の上へ。
The security guards were professionals. They immediately realized the guns Kasai, Akasaka, and Shion were holding weren't toys. They'd already heard there was a gunfight in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. The security guards knew they weren't dealing with amateurs. They also knew they wouldn't hesitate to fire. That was why they surrendered so quickly. They had handcuffs on them already, so it was easy for Kasai and the others to restrain them. The security guards had never thought they'd be wearing the cuffs themselves. They had especially never dreamed of being locked up in a toilet. Their hands were cuffed to pipes behind them as they sat on the toilet seats. Their mouths were stuffed with hand towels, then covered with duct tape. Shion, clearly amused, remarked on how she always wanted to do this to someone. Kasai couldn't help but laugh.
ここまでは順調ですね。問題は地下です。監視カメラで必ず気づかれます。
そのカメラはモノクロ？画面は4分割？
確かそうだったと思います。よくある防犯カメラの画面です。
ってことは解像度は良くないですね。なら私いい手を思いつきました。
シオンさん、捕虜の虐待はあ
What does she
ま
have
り良くない
planned?
のでは？
I'm excited to see. The mountain dogs weren't only locked in the bathroom, but had to go through extra humiliation. Oh, are they going to be wearing their uniforms? Radio calls continued to come in from the mountain dogs who were fighting up in the mountains. The security guards listened to them intently over the speakers. From what they could hear, it was obvious the mountain dogs weren't doing well at all. They kept falling into traps, suffering heavy losses, all of which they had never expected. It was clear the mountain dogs were trapped. But they even started to think that they were being lured into something bigger than a simple military maneuver. The mountain dogs had made a mistake. They assumed the club members went to the mountains to escape from Hinamizawa. But they were wrong. They were simply being lured into their enemy's carefully prepared territory. The panicked voices of the mountain dogs, Takano's yelling, and Okanagi's reprimands could be heard through the speaker. It certainly sounded like a war zone.
大鳥湾より大鳥、休憩時間は終わりだぞ。俺たちも出撃する。壊滅した白鷺のポジションを埋めるんだ。味方の損害率はすでに致命的状況だが、敵は確実に後退を重ねてすでに包囲されつつある。もう一息だ。温存した大鳥で一気に圧殺する。陣頭指揮はサンサが直接取られるそうだ。俺も出るぞ。これで決着させる。
おい、隊長が出るぞ。大鳥も上がる。総力戦だ。
なんて奴らだ。ってことはすでに被害は招待規模にもなるってのか。
俺たちは何者を相手にしてるんだよ。相手はどこの特殊部隊だってんだ。
The security guards listening to the battle reports over the radio fluctuated between dismay and rejoicing. A cute chime rang suddenly. It was a warning chime that rang automatically when someone went through the entrance to the basement. When the chime rang, the guards were supposed to check the screen to see who was coming through. The one who looked at the screen needed a moment to comprehend what he was seeing.
おい、入江所長だぞ。
何?
They could see the two security guards on the first floor restraining Erie and some girl. Oh, I see. So they're going to come up and... That's smart.
どういうことだ?
そういうことか。向こうは陽動で、こいつらが富武救出に忍び込もうとしたってことだ。
三佐に所長を連行したと連絡しろ。
A buzzer sounded and a computer panel displayed information about the card being used to enter. Commissioned Officer Pass. Special Grade 1. Lieutenant Colonel. Kyosuke Erie, Director. Password. Match. Fingerprint confirmation. Match.
Huh?
How strange. The security guards brought Erie down. That made sense. But why were they using the Director Security Access card? They were even using his fingerprint. Why were they having him do that? Wouldn't it be quicker for the guards to do that themselves? One of the guards figured it out, but it was too late. The door to the basement was open, and the four newcomers forced their way inside. They ran through the security camera screen and were heading straight for the security room. They had them. As soon as the door opened, the security guards started firing. I wonder if that was just a little bit of like a mix-up. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't be able to work because they said they need the fingerprint and the card. The security guards just had cards. They could have just swiped the card and it wouldn't have looked so suspicious, but to have Erie put it in would put them on guard. Akasaka realized if he had taken them a second longer to pull back, he would have been riddled with hundreds of bullets. One of the guards pushed the desk onto its side. The paper cups on the desk fell to the floor, spilling coffee everywhere. They used the desk as a barricade. The other two guards started to shoot at random. As long as the guards were shooting at the rescue unit, they couldn't counterattack. One of the guards activated the emergency alarm, and another picked up the submachine gun off the wall. Oh, this is not going well. The other one picked up a gas mask. These are the guys that should be on the mountains. It was impressive they got their act together so quickly. A situation like this would result in a fierce gun battle, meaning it would take quite a while for the rescue team to suppress the guards. The emergency alarm sounding in the basement reminded them that their surprise attack had failed. Damn, come on, Akasaka, pull it together. I was counting on you.
でも敵は全員この中。この部屋に釘付けにしているうちに、サトシ君と富武さんを救出しちゃいましょう。
The mountain dogs outside would definitely hear that alarm. If they took too long, the enemy would come to block their escape route. Then they'd be trapped inside.
そうだ。確かセキュリティに侵入者対策で確か。
Erie, come on, man. Eri started to speak while he tried to recollect it. Shion told him he should have remembered something like that before they came in. Eri, you're fucking everything up, man. Before Eri remembered, a voice came over the speakers. They're probably gonna pump, like, gas, like sleeping gas, into the area.
エントランス区画にて緊急事態が発生しました。問題が解決するまで研究施設内の全区画は緊急閉鎖されます。
God damn it.
エントランス区画のスタッフはセキュリティルームに
Yep, gas mask. When that guy put on the gas mask, I was like, they're probably gonna pump gas into the area.
保安隊員の指示に従ってください。120秒後に研究区画及びエントランス区画には鎮圧用ガスの自動散布が行われます。繰り返します。
どうやら2分以内に制圧して警報を解除しないとヤバいことになりそうだな。
鎮圧用ガスって何ですか？毒ガス？
I think it's... I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that word. If you inhale a lot of it, it's dangerous, but it's not deadly. It only takes a few seconds to take effect. There are many symptoms, but the most common one is to sneeze for about 30 minutes. Isn't that also called red agent? The military used to use it to secure enemy territories. Guys, let's not be talking about the gas. Like, let's go, chop, 2 minutes. They either had to run out of there immediately or take over the security room, but since the area had been sealed off, they couldn't escape. But there were armed guards in the security room, and if the rescue unit members even peeked around the corner, they'd be shot at mercilessly.
くそ、ダメだ。これでは狙って撃つなんて到底できない。
インドアの基本はグレネードか。くそ、そんなのないって。
That's what I said. You need a grenade. Just throw it into the room. Boom. Done.
焦って飛び込めば蜂の巣です。どうすればいいんだ。
サトシ君は目前だというのに悔しい。
Shion pressed her forehead against her gun, gritting her teeth in frustration. As Kasai analyzed the situation, he stood up and spoke.
皆さん、私に任せてもらいましょう。
Alright, Kasai, do what I thought Akasaka was gonna do. You're gonna be the one that I'm gonna rely on. Oh man, oh man. The guards in the security room were on edge too. Once the gas was flowing, everything would come to an end, but the guards knew their enemy wouldn't just sit and wait for that to happen. They'd come rushing in regardless of the counterattack they'd face. Although the guards would still have the upper hand, it'd be a point-blank gunfight. They wouldn't come out of it unscathed. Therefore, as the deadline approached, their tension increased. The guards never even considered that the door they opened would be shut again. They fired at the door, leaving many small holes in it. After that, it all went quiet. What were they thinking? There was nowhere to hide. The gas was about to be released. Why did they close the door? For what reason did they do that? That was when a loud explosion punched a hole in the door the size of a fist. Not only the door, but the wall in the security room had a similar hole.
Magnum.
Oh, he's got the shotgun. A calm voice echoed from the other side of the door.
ご名答です。こいつは人間を撃つ弾じゃありません。威力は皆さんほどならすでにご存知でしょう。
The power of a slug bullet is limited to extremely close-range battles, but it's also incredibly powerful. After all, it's fired from a shotgun, but it doesn't scatter. A shotgun is meant to fire scatter shots, but it can be used to fire only one huge, incredibly powerful bullet. That's the slug. It's usually used for hunting. It's used to shoot at animals, not humans. If it were to be used on a human, their arms and legs would be shattered and nothing would be left at the head. It shouldn't even be called a bullet, it should be called a cannon. It would easily pierce through the door, the desk they were using as a barricade, and any guards hiding behind the desk before slamming into the wall. The guards understood very well just how powerful it was. The kind of guns they had shot out many small bullets, therefore they didn't work as well through a door. But their enemies didn't care about the door at all. Their weapon could easily pierce through anything. Hiding behind a desk didn't mean a thing. I thought Kasai was gonna have like some really intricate plan, but no, he's just like, I got a really powerful shotgun. Like, it works. If it works, it works.
死にたくなかったら警報を切っていただきましょう。
落ち着け。もうじきガスが出る。それまでの辛抱だ。
その前に皆さんが内臓をぶちまけることになるとはお考えが至りませんか？
Kasai's voice was extremely intimidating. Only one who truly understood the power of the shotgun could talk that way.
時間がありません。5秒でケツを取ります。5つ数えて警報が切れなければ覚悟していただきます。
どうする？ガスまでまだ60秒くらいあるぞ。
焦るな。向こうだってビビってるんだ。飲まれるんじゃねえ。
That was when a deep voice rang out, reverberating through the pit of their stomachs.
おい、人が親切に話してるのに聞いてねえのか?
It must have been coming from the same person, but it had changed so much so quickly.
この笠井達義がてめえらを生かしてやると言ってんだ。ありがてえとは思わねえのか、ガキどもが。お前ら俺を舐めてんのか？ああ？返事せんか、ガキどもが！
A roar and an explosion sounded at the same time. The upper half of the door disappeared. Numerous lead balls bounced around in the room, breaking the lights and ricocheting off the walls. Shattered glass fell onto the floor. The shotgun had turned the security room into hell. The hurricane of lead bullets blew violently through the room as it shattered, scattered, and destroyed everything. The guards could only cover their heads and pray. They prayed the lead balls wouldn't hit them and endured the falling glass. Before they had a chance to recover, Kasai jumped in through what was left of the door and kicked the desk aside. He stepped onto one guard's head and yelled at the others.
ガキどもが最初にミンチになりてえのは誰だ？てめえかこら！さっき上等決めやがったのはてめえかこら！
違う！降伏する！撃つな！
何いつまで茶化ひけらかしてんだこら！
He just had to go into gangsta mode and they straightened up.
殺されてえか鬼才。てめえとは築いてきた屍の山の高さが違うんじゃボケ。
うわ！すんません。勘弁してください。
They dropped their guns voluntarily and got on the floor with their hands on their heads. Even Shion couldn't believe what had just happened. There were several of them, and all had been amply armed. Kasai had a weapon too, but it was his presence that defeated them. Even the mountain dogs couldn't equal what Kasai once had to go through.
何てめえら昼で始めてんだこら。マスク剥がされてガス吸わされてえのか。とっとと警報止めろクソガキ。
停止する！撃つな！
One of the guards got up in a hurry and switched the alarm off. Kasai stood there calmly, but they were only seconds away from the gas releasing. Shion and Akasaka came to their senses and quickly moved into the room to help Kasai subdue the guards. Forget Akasaka! I stand Kasai!
あんた
She's like, I'm not gonna make fun of you anymore.
こんな真似は二度としないつもりでしたが、緊急措置でした。忘れてください。
That was the Kasai Shion knew. But in the end, Kasai hadn't killed anyone. Shion remembered Kasai telling her how terrifying shotguns were in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. That was Shotgun Tatsu, whom all the people in Shishibone were so afraid of.
急ぎましょう。どの道すでに警報は鳴らされています。長居はできません。
そうですね。急ぎましょう。
Akasaka and Kasai pulled up the guards' handcuffs and restrained them. Oh, okay, that was a little worrying, but... Now that the security room was under their control, Shion realized there was nothing keeping her from seeing Satoshi. She was getting anxious. Iri had shown her the map. He must be down there, she thought. Shion had already started to run.
私も行ってきます。サトシ君と富武さんを助けないと。
すみません。頼みます。
Once again, things are back in our control, but it's only a matter of time, I feel like, before something's gonna happen to turn the tides again. Uh-oh.
1、2、3。
Oh no, we're missing one. We're missing a guard, and Shion and Iri are running. No. Oh no. There's only 5. Oh, 5, 6, 7, right? There's the 2 guards, so there's 1 guy missing. Akasaka felt a chill run down his spine. Iri said there were 6 security guards. Shion wasn't paying attention. Oh, Shion wasn't paying attention to anything else. She was only thinking about a reunion with Sacha. They're gonna take her hostage, and then Kasai's gonna give up. Fuck. I knew things were going to turn around, but I didn't think it was going to be this quick. And she still can't hear it in her left ear. To make things worse, the security guard waiting on the left side of Shion. Oh no. Shion had to regret letting her guard down just a little bit too early. The mountain dog jumped out and grabbed Shion. He choked her neck with his thick arm. There was no way Shion could get out of the situation alone, and she's just got useless Eri with her. God damn it. Eri saw what was happening. Fortunately, their backs were turned towards him. Here was Eri's chance to attack the enemy, but of course he's not going to. He's gonna puss out, but today Eri had lost a lot of confidence in himself. He felt he hadn't done anything right all day. Fighting wasn't his expertise, so there really wasn't anything he could have done. But he was disappointed in himself for not being able to help just the same. But in that moment, he was the only one who could do anything. You gotta redeem yourself, my dude. Come on. If possible, he wanted to go get Kasai or Akasaka. They were both very reliable. They could take out this man in an instant. But there was no time for that. Only in this moment was his back facing Eri. And if Eri didn't do anything, the dog was sure to take Shion hostage, creating a deadlock. Oh, if Eri had a stun gun, this would be great. Enemy backup could arrive at any moment, so being in a deadlock would mean death. Therefore, Eri couldn't depend on anyone else. I just hope Eri doesn't die. I know I've been giving him a hard time, but I'm hoping everybody makes it out alive. He had to resolve the situation himself. He only had one chance. He's got the gun, right? Once the unit member turned around, the deadlock would begin. But was there even a way for Eri to knock him down in one shot? No, he had to. He must. There had to be something that only Eri could do. Eri took a mechanical pencil out of his pocket. Or he could stab him with a pencil. That works, I guess. It was probably the strongest weapon he had. I thought Eri had a gun. Or did they not give Eri a gun because they thought it would be too dangerous for him? They thought it would be more of a... He'd be more of like a liability.
くそ、やってくれますね、所長。
But Shion's got a weapon, doesn't she? Eri stabbed the man's neck with his mechanical pencil, but it only scratched him a little. God damn it. What was he thinking? The man drew his gun, pressed it to Shion's head, and created a stalemate, just as Eri predicted. Oh, you just made things worse.
ごめんなさい。私、サトシ君のことで頭がいっぱいだった。
Shion's eyes were filled with tears.
さて所長、月並みで恐縮ですが、他の侵入者ともども武装解除してもらいましょう。さっきのとんでもない音は相当でかい銃を持ち込んでますね。撃たれたらたまりませんので。
Come on, Eri. Remember Kasai-san from earlier. You can do it. Oh my god, is he gonna try and... Oh my god, he's gonna try and imitate Kasai. Oh boy.
笑わせます。この入江機関のこの入江京介に取引などできるつもりですか？
何？
Is it gonna work?
これは高野さんの開発したシ
Oh
ャ
my
ーペン
gosh.
型の偽装注射器です。薬物については説明が必要ですか？
なんだと？
If a regular person had said that, it wouldn't have worked. Okay, Eri. Alright. But Eri was wearing his white coat, and the basement was his territory. What he just said sounded very believable. Psychological warfare. Alright. He wanted to believe that Eri was lying, but he started to feel an itch on the back of his neck.
H178 は高野さんが生み出した170番台の最高傑作です。いかなる治療手段もなく、わずか数分で錯乱、妄想、頭痛、鼻水、鼻詰まり、お通じの不通、数々の激症を引き起こし、最後には自らの爪でお尻をかき破って死んでしまい。
I admit, this would totally work on me. I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, and I make myself sick through anxiety sometimes, so I would totally fall for this. Especially with a guy wearing a lab coat who I know is a doctor.
治療法はただ一つ。1分以内にこの解毒剤のお注射を受けることのみです。
嘘だ。そんなのあるはずね。
すでに30秒経過ですね。そろそろ心臓を経由して全身に回り始めてくる頃です。全身のリンパ腺にかゆみは出ませんか？寝るときにいびきやおならが出ませんか？
Shion could only watch this pathetic act in silence, but for the mountain dog who worked at such a shady research center, what Eri said sounded totally believable.
わかった。降参する。早くその治療薬を打ってくれ。
はて、言葉遣いがなっていませんね。
Oh my god. Alright, Eri.
降参します。
Akasaka's the only one who hasn't done anything cool yet, which is very disappointing. Even Eri did something cool.
早く注射をしてください。
ダメですね。
Oh my god, Eri, don't push it, my dude.
ご主人様への言葉遣いが
Oh
な
my
っていません。
god. Oh, he's going into the master mode. Oh, just put a maid outfit on him while you're at it.
一度だけ指導しましょう。いいですか？このお注射はお尻に注射しなくてはなりません。まず四つん這いになってズボンをずらし、
Oh my
お尻
god.
を出します。その際お尻は突き出すようにし、両肩はぺったり床につけるようにします。右手の親指の爪を噛みながら振り返り、そうそう。
Oh my god. Oh my god, this is amazing.
そしてあなたはご主人様、
Oh
この
no.
私めにお注射をくださいませと哀願するのです。
Eri, don't put your fetishes into this, okay?
言えませんか？嘆かわしい。そもそも古来メイドはご主人様への絶対忠誠を誓い、滅私暴行によって美徳と文化を築き上げてきたのです。
This is what all this maid stuff was coming up to for this moment.
そんな素晴らしい社会を作ったのに、近年の日本はどうですか？
Is the guy gonna realize that a minute has passed and nothing has happened and he's gonna realize Eri's talking, like, bullshit?
メイドの心を忘れた若者はガングロ、ルーズソックス、派手派手なハワイ装束。ああ、大和なでしこが情けない。お肌をスレスレにお手入れして過剰な日焼けには要注意。ソックスはもちろんニーソですが、黒のストッキングも素晴らしい。いや、でもたまにはハイソックスも素敵です。そして培われるメイドの心。思えば日本はわびさびとメイドを忘れました。その結果がこの低出産率、超高齢化社会。今や熟年人口は増え続け、萌えメディアもその層をターゲットにするのは時間の問題。
I feel like he's talking directly to me at this point. This feels like a PSA.
やがてはストライクゾーンはるか真上とされてきたおばさんにもスポットライトが浴びせられ、いつしかそれが主流にすらなってゆく。おばさんとメイドの組み合わせはまさにトイレ用洗剤、混ぜるな危険。それを混ぜるとなぜかメイドでなく家政婦さんになり、急にトレンディードラマから昼ドラっぽくなっちゃうのです。それはつまりメイドの絶滅。その時月は砕け、悲しみの雨を地上に降らし、地球をアステロイドベルトが覆う。それこそが予言書に記された最後の審判の日。全世界を偉大なるメイドカチューシャが覆いしとき、真のメイド世界が開かれる。そうだ、そうそう、頭が高い、ひざまずけ。メイドの魂よ、ここに集うのだ。
Oh my god. Oh my god.
In the Maid Kingdom!
What did I just experience?
Maid in Heaven!
大丈夫かい？シオンちゃん。
ええ、ありがとうです。監督、赤坂さんたち来てやっつけてくれましたよ。
まだメイド教育が終わっていないというのに。
A fate worse than death.
先生、そいつは後ほどに。
サトシ君。
I was like, what a mood whiplash this is. There really was nobody left to stop her. Shion ran down the hallway at full speed. It was right there. There was a huge window in front of Shion that allowed her to look inside. Shion threw herself at the window. Satoshi was there, lying on the bed. He was sleeping with an IV connected to his arm. There were some wires attached to his forehead and chest to observe his brain waves. The waves of light displayed on the machine they connected to proved he was at least still alive. But he might be sleeping very deeply. His face was pale and he looked like there was barely any life left in him.
生きてるんだよね。 サトシ君生きてるんだよね。
落ち着いてください。入江先生、早く彼を。
Eri brought in a stretcher to load Satoshi onto. Kasai opened it up.
早くサトシ君を、サトシ君を。
シオンさん、彼を出す前に一つだけどうしても約束してほしいことがあります。
Eri gave Shion a condition. What are you saying now? Shion angrily thought.
今から彼を担架に移しますが、決して起こそうとしてはいけません。いいですね。絶対約束してください。
どうして？
Shion, for once, listen, please.
どうして起こしちゃいけないんですか？
That was the first thing Shion wanted to do. She wanted to tell him personally that he was free. But Eri was telling her she couldn't do that.
辛いことですが、真実だけを手短に話します。サトシ君はあの日、末期発症により脳と心に深刻なダメージを受けました。幸いなことに命に異常はありませんが、サトシ君には目に入るものの敵味方、真実と虚構の区別がつかないのです。過度の被害妄想と恐怖に取りつかれ、それから逃れるために急祖が猫を噛むように目の前にいるのが誰であろうと襲いかかります。昨年不用心なスタッフが整形手術を必要とするほどの大怪我をしました。彼はたとえあなたであっても例外としません。
Shion finally noticed it. While Satoshi was covered in a blanket on the bed, there were 2 belts over that blanket, holding him down on the bed, and that he also had leather straps around his arms. He was restrained to the bed. The belts had some marks on them.
そんな、それって治るんですか？
The silence that followed was cruel. Eri wanted to tell her he would be cured, but he was a doctor. He knew he shouldn't say anything irresponsible, and so that was why he couldn't say anything.
何それ？
I'm just hoping maybe if he sees Sadako, that will kind of snap him out of it, but it's probably not that easy.
何それ？じゃあ何？サトシ君はもうムーって言ってくれないの？私の頭を撫でてくれないの？なんで？なんで？
Shion cried as she pounded on the
いけ
glass.
ません。彼のことを本当か。彼を起こさないでください。それはきっと彼が望むことでもあるのです。起こせばそのサトシ君の姿はあなたを必ず傷つけます。そしてサトシ君もその姿をあなたに見せたいとは思わないはずです。ですから分かってください。
そんな。
Shion slid down the window and hit the floor, crying uncontrollably. She scratched at the floor. The sad reunion and her anger made her claw at the tiles. If Satoshi's smile was there under the floor, Shion would scratch until all her nails were gone. But Satoshi wasn't under the floor. He was right there. He was sleeping on the bed, and he wasn't supposed to be woken up.
ですが、決して悪い話だけではないのです。微弱ですが、この1年、脳波の傾向に回復の兆しが見られるんです。人間の体は弱くありません。たくましいんです。それは脳も同じです。脳に致命的損傷を負った人が奇跡的に回復を遂げたという報告は世界中にあります。サトシ君は帰ってこようとしています。必死に戦っています。そして私も負けない。帰ろうと戦うサトシ君をこちら側に連れ戻そうと私は今後も研究を続けます。そして必ずサトシ君をひなみ沢に連れて帰ってみせます。
The brain is what moves people, but the brain is only a part of the body. If something happens to the brain, the person will end up changing. That change hurts the person himself as well as the people around him, and hurting others hurts that person even more. Eri recalled his parents, the abnormal change in his father. His mother was not able to understand it was caused by a brain disorder. That was enough. That was sad enough. That was the reason why Eri became a neurologist. Right now, there was a young boy before him, and a young girl. Before him was a fragment of the sadness from that day, a fragment of that day's regret. After his father's death, Eri learned he was misunderstood and that it was due to a brain disorder. But it was all too late by then. He regretted not getting into the study of brains 5 years earlier, but it was too late. But now he had studied and experienced so much, he had achieved things and he had confidence. But he still had regrets about that day. Eri holds his fist tightly and spoke without hiding his tears.
絶対です。命をかけてもいい。私は絶対にサトシ君をひなみ沢へ連れ帰ります。この入江京介が絶対というのです。そしてサトシ君も帰ってこようとしている。互いが手を伸ばし合って届かぬわけがない。だからシオンさん、私を信じてその日まで待ってください。絶対この入江京介が彼を連れ帰ります。
Eri vowed this from the bottom of his heart, and he realized something. Eri realized that everything he had done was in preparation for this day. The two people in front of him weren't his parents, but he was going to rid himself of his regrets and devote himself to that promise.
本当に本当ですね。サトシ君、帰ってくるんですね。本当に。
絶対です。私の人生のすべてを捧げてでも彼をひなみ沢へ連れ帰ります。だからシオンさん、その日を信じて私と待ちましょう。
I want, like at the end, I want like a slideshow. I want Satoshi back on the Hinamizawa fighters as Shion as the manager, him back with Sadako, all good and happy times.
そしてきっと私たちで彼を迎えてあげましょう。その日まで待てますか？この悲しい事実をさとこちゃんに内緒にできますか？
I guess I won't be getting my reunion. It makes sense, but
サトシ君、帰ってくるなら何でもします。何でも我慢します。
あれを見てください。
Oh, it's the bear. Oh, it's the bear. There was something in the corner of that dark room. It was the giant teddy bear that Satoshi had brought that day. I remember how expensive that bear is. That thing is disappointing. How much money did he spend on the thing? Like $800? Ah, what a ripoff. Come on, Satoshi.
彼がさとこちゃんの誕生日のために一生懸命に働いて貯めたお金で買ったものです。あれをサトシ君がさとこちゃんに渡さないでこの世を去るなんて考えられますか？
And isn't Sadako's birthday coming up? Isn't it like a little bit after Watanagashi?
考えられないでしょ。サトシ君は必ずあのぬいぐるみと一緒にあなたとさとこちゃんのところへ帰ってきます。どうかその日まで我慢をしてください。
お見舞いに来てもいいですか？
もちろんです。
彼の脇に座ったり本を読んであげたりしてもいいですか？それから
いいですよ。きっと彼も喜ぶでしょう。
Man, this is such a whiplash from his talking about maids to this very sweet moment. Shion started to cry again. Akasaka came in with Tomatake, but he couldn't say anything. Tomatake's like, I'm here too, guys. Hi. Nobody cares about you, Tomatake.
無事でよかったです。あなたに番犬を呼んでもらえれば全ては解決できます。
実はそうもいかないのです。
さっきの保安室の銃撃戦で無線装置が壊れたようなのです。山犬は非常時対応で村全体の通信手段を遮断しているでしょうから、ここの無線装置が損傷した以上、東京へ連絡をするには村を脱出するほかないんです。
となれば車で強行突破するしかないでしょう。ミオンさんたちもよく時間を稼いでくれています。しかし籠城ですから、やがては追い詰められるでしょう。一刻も早く富武さんを村の外へ脱出させ、番犬を呼び寄せる必要があります。
困った問題が一つ。彼らが非常時対応で電話線を遮断しているなら、同じ対応で町へ通じる街道を封鎖することになっているのです。車両突破を防ぐため、彼らには歩兵が携帯する対戦車榴弾砲が一つ与えられているはずです。
RPG7 ですか。戦車を想定していないでしょうから、弾頭は榴弾でしょうが、直撃しなくても車がひっくり返るかもしれません。相当厄介な相手です。
しかし街道を車で突破しなかったら無駄な時間がかかりすぎる。迂回などしていたら日が暮れます。みんなもよく戦ってくれていると思うが、暮れるまで持ちこたえられるとは思えません。急がないと危険です。
もたもたしてる暇はないです。何が何でも富武のおじさまを沖宮に大至急。監督はサトシ君と安全な場所へ。とにかく大至急出ましょう。ここに敵が殺到するのも時間の問題です。
Shion's eyes were swollen from crying, but she had calmed down. Satoshi's safety depended on their victory. They had to win for his sake, too. Although this is a very sad situation, Satoshi was alive, and he would be back someday. Shion understood that, but yet more tears poured from her eyes. Sis, everyone, thank you. We've succeeded over here. Ooh, alright, okay. So, that's the end of this one. I feel like it ended on a pretty good note there with them saving Satoshi and gotta get Tomotage to Tokyo, so that's gonna be interesting. I don't know how that's gonna go considering that everything is blocked. All the roads are blocked, so I don't know how that's gonna happen. I'm praying for a miracle. But it seems like we are going to be wrapping it up in the next episode, like not just the chapter, but pretty much the whole series. And I do know that, yes, there are side chapters that I might be able to explore later on, but I can't believe it's going to be coming to an end soon. I don't think I'm ready, but at the same time, I am ready. I'm excited to know how this is going to end, and I know you guys are excited too, and also probably a little bit sad that we're going to be ending this, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned next week for what is surely going to be the finale of Higurashi, including the true ending, which I will be adding on to the end since it's pretty short. So I can't wait. I hope you guys are excited, and you will not want to miss next week. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Nana, Sparky, iCognito, Matt Goldsmith, Harry Gazif, and Asborn Kennedy.